Good morning. My name is Arran Hunt. I'm a partner here at Stace Hammond and I head up the firm's Migration Partners division. Now, this is a first video we're doing. It wasn't planned to be the first video. We had several others in the works, but the situation demands something going out there quickly just to clarify a situation, to provide a bit more information the media isn't quite picking up. Now, today is 17 March 2020. It's a Tuesday morning. Previously on Saturday the 14th, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, announced that anybody coming into the country, with the exception of those travelling from several Pacific islands, would have to self-isolate for 2 weeks due to the COVID-19 outbreak that the world is currently going through, and that New Zealand is trying to avoid any more than the 8 we currently have detected. Now, that started taking place from 1 a.m. on Monday, which was yesterday the 16th. So anybody after that time has to self-isolate. Now, there was some reports in the media and people being interviewed that typically people who were backpacking or who were travelling through New Zealand in a camper van or that sort of trying to do it on a lower cost travel, who were planning on not self-isolating, or they said they would self-isolate in their camper van. Which isn't the point of self-isolation. Self-isolation is where you basically hide away for 2 weeks. You do not go out and about, you do not meet people. If you're in a camper van, you're going to be meeting people during cafes and places you go to, petrol stations, that sort of thing. That's not self-isolation. Now, yesterday, Jacinda Ardern came out saying that people who were caught not self-isolating were risking deportation. I think that was going to be the major enforcement for those who were not from New Zealand. If you're from New Zealand, then you'll be sort of forced to isolate. If you were from overseas, then you'll be deported. Now, deportation is the important thing we wanted to discuss today because most people don't quite understand what deportation means in the long run. The deportation itself has several components. The first is that you'll be forced to leave New Zealand. The second is that you will be blocked from applying to come back to New Zealand for a certain period of time. And that in itself probably isn't much of a major, especially in the current environment where people just aren't travelling. The third most important part, though, is in regards to the future, in that on the majority of the world's visa application forms there's a little box saying, have you been deported? Or it might say, have you been deported or been denied a visa? Now, if you're deported from New Zealand, you must start ticking that box saying yes, and doing so will raise a red flag in those immigration systems. And they'll often ask as to why you were deported. And for the rest of your life, you'll need to give them the reason that you refused to comply with the government's health concerns and self-isolation around COVID-19. And that's basically going to blackball you from applying for a visa to anywhere ever again. There is no time limit there. The rest of your life you will have to tick that box saying you were deported. And I think if this virus keeps going the way it's going to cause a number of more deaths. People are not going to respect that, well, you didn't want to waste 2 weeks sitting in a room. What they're going to see is that you were willing to put another country's health at risk and the lives of the people who live there at risk. And for that reason, they're not going to give you a visa to go to their country. So please, if you are in this country, please self-isolate, follow the rules as required. Do not put our people at risk, don't put my family at risk, my father at risk, and don't put yourself at risk. Self-isolation is there for a reason. And just know that if you are deported, then that is going to stop you from travelling anywhere, probably ever again. So please don't do that either. Thank you.